Here now is Solutionaries.
I'm Louis Bold, and this is Solutionaries. We live in a digital world. Computer technology is everywhere and affects almost everything. Most of us keep our money in a bank and pay for stuff electronically, using credit cards or debit cards, or maybe an app like Venmo. It makes buying and borrowing as simple as one tap. But with the ease of access comes security risks and potential fraud. Data shows skimming crimes, where thieves steal your credit card information while it's still with you, jumped more than 300% last year. In Florida, it happens every day, often in plain sight. And while it can happen to any of us, right now criminals are targeting one of the most vulnerable populations in the country, SNAP, or Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Funds recipients. CBS News' Usher Qureshi looked deep into solutions for this issue and found out the government is failing to make one important change that could help stop it.
This is where I first learned to put skimmers. This is where I did all my training. And I spent a lot of nights here just learning, taking apart the pump.
How quickly could you install a skimmer?
On a good day, like 30 seconds maybe.
30 seconds?
30, 40 seconds, yeah.
That quick?
Yeah, it's fast.
How did you find your targets?
So what I do is I go on Google Maps, I just type in gas stations, and I'll zoom in to see what the face looks like, what the door looks like, what the gas pump model is. I would access the gas station pump with a universal key. So it pretty much collect anywhere from 750 to 1,000 card numbers.
What was your best day out?
My best days, because it took me like 3 days, I made 30 grand.
Skimming costs financial institutions and U.S. consumers more than $1 billion each year.
When we started researching, looking into skimming, we decided, who would know about this? Who's investigating this? Well, it turns out it's the U.S. Secret Service.
So this is an example of probably the most advanced skimmers that we're seeing today. These are magnets that actually help hold it in. So a lot of ATMs, the card readers are like this, and these magnets actually hold it inside the device.
Investigators here are dissecting the latest skimming devices.
In this particular case, there's a small pinhole on this piece of plastic that would normally sit just like this on the ATM machine and would capture the keypad. A couple months, everything will be quiet, and then the cyber criminals will find a way around it. And then there'll be a new spike until we get it stopped. So it's constantly the cat and mouse game to find ways to prevent it.
Skimmers are now targeting an especially vulnerable group.
Currently, I am on government assistance.
Sung-Hee Lee, a college student in Boston, is among the 41 million Americans who rely on the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP.
So you were literally at the grocery store checkout counter and found out all your money was gone?
All of it. Like, only had 40 cents left in the account.
They wiped you out?
Yeah.
So it was a large amount of money that was charged in Illinois?
In Illinois.
Where you hadn't been there?
At a Sam's Club. I don't even have a Sam's Club membership. I can't afford a Sam's Club membership.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture, which oversees the federal SNAP program, tells us it does not track how much money is stolen. So we asked all 50 states, but only a few could tell us. 2.9 million stolen in Massachusetts, impacting more than 6,700 households. 7 million in both New York and California, with New York taking in more than 10,000 complaints of skimming. The reason SNAP cards are easy to hack is because of the magnetic stripe, a security measure that dates back to the 1970s.
It's wide open, so you can use any reader to pull that information, and that's going to give the personal information, the card information, and of course, some other details.
It doesn't make any sense that the SNAP program, which spends $157 billion annually, is using a glorified hotel room key to provide benefits to the food insecure.
Fraud experts at LexisNexis Risk Solutions found that every $1 skimmed ends up costing nearly $4, a loss that's passed on to every taxpayer.
I would tell the USDA, we don't need a new, unique, innovative solution to solve the problem. We just need some very basic controls.
One feature that he says would help is the chip, more secure than just a magnetic stripe. Stores that started accepting chip cards back in 2015 saw in the first 3 years a 76% drop in fraud. Lawmakers from multiple states have sent letters urging the USDA to take aggressive action. saying it hasn't updated cybersecurity standards for the nation's food assistance program since 2010.
This is a broader problem that eventually ripples across society.
Yeah, it 100% affects taxpayers, and it is a substantial amount of loss.
So we asked for months, but the USDA declined our request for an interview. They did send us an email saying that they are holding roundtables to explore modernization opportunities, but didn't give any timeline.
One possible solution the USDA is testing, a pilot program that'll roll out in 5 states next year. It allows people who get food assistance to try tap to pay. It's a good security move the Secret Service says we might all want to consider.
We talk about tap to pay, very convenient. Safer?
So I think tap to pay, as well as paying via your phone, is a very safe way to do it.
After getting caught and spending more than 2 years in federal prison, Michael Perez is now teaching law enforcement and business owners how to stop skimmers. But before the law caught up with him, his conscience did. A moment of clarity in the aftermath of a hurricane.
People were checking into hotels because they didn't have any homes. Everything was destroyed. And I was there doing that damage to them. And I remember the person in front of me, card got declined. And she didn't have a way to stay at the hotel at that moment. That's when it hit me.
Do you feel like you have a new life?
Oh yeah, I feel like I can sleep at night good now, you know? It feels great. Like I feel like I don't have to look over my shoulder anymore. I still can't believe it, you know, that I got that chance.
In 2022, Congress passed the SNAP Protection Act, which allows the USDA to give refunds to SNAP recipients whose cards were skimmed. Florida's plan has since been approved and is expected to go into effect next week on August 24th. But refunds are only one part of the solution. Data from LexisNexis suggests Florida will lose close to $600 million to SNAP thieves this year. That's nearly $50 million every month. Investing in better security software is one way to stop fraud, but how do we avoid getting our information stolen in the first place? Experts say avoid using SNAP benefits cards at small convenience stores because that's a favorite target of these thieves. Physically pull on the machine and make sure it hasn't been tampered with. And at ATMs, protect your PIN from overhead cameras by putting your hand over the keypad. Still ahead on Solutionaries, News 6 investigator Mike Holfeld.
I'll bet you this has happened to a lot of people that are watching. She gets a message and she thinks it's a friend and she says, hey, I got locked out of my account. Can you hit this code so I can open up my Facebook account? Well, it's a con man. And guess what happens, Lewis? They get into her Facebook account. They target her 9 closest friends and put out this message that she needs $2,000.
We sit down and talk about some of the biggest scams and schemes from his reports and look at how to prevent falling victim.
What's going on, everyone? I'm certified meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, and I hope that you are ready for updates on storm tracking, hurricanes, and all kinds of weather-related content coming to you on our YouTube channel, Just Weather. All you have to do is scan that QR code on the screen to like, share, and subscribe to all of our weather-related updates, stories, and video content. All right, now back to Solutionaries.
Welcome back to Solutionaries. I'm Louis Bolden. You know, in the digital world, thieves are constantly looking for ways to steal your money. And a man who knows all about that is News 6 investigator Mike Holfeld. And Mike, I know a lot of times people feel embarrassed when they're the victim of a crime like this, but really it could happen to anyone.
It could, and I'm glad you brought that up because all of the investigations we do, Lewis, hinges on what I like to call the American hero. Those people put embarrassment aside and come to us with these stories so that we can let everyone know, you know what, it can happen to you. I wanted to put this quote out there before we continue. That is Haywood Talcove, CEO of LexisNexis. He's a security expert who watches this stuff like a hawk. One identity, yours and mine, is worth $2 million to the thieves out there. And that's important as we go through the landscape of these stories we'll be discussing. The reason, the end game is this: your name, your identity, and yeah, your money, and that means bank accounts.
Wow. And Mike, I know a lot of people let their guard down when they see government agencies or they see brands that they know and they trust. Talk to us about the woman from Claremont and what she thought was an Amazon link.
Yeah, I'm just checking my notes here because this is like something out of a movie. She played it right and still got sucker punched. She gets a text from what she believes is Amazon. It says her account has been locked. She opens the text And she's savvy now, Lewis. She goes to Google and looks up the Amazon number to see if it's legitimate. But she uses her phone. Her phone, believe it or not, was already hacked.
All along I was thinking, I'm the one that initiated the call. I called them, so it had to be real.
So she gets a number, what she thinks is an Amazon number, and they say, oh yes, your account is locked. In fact, we have to transfer you to federal agents. Now she's talking to people who claim they're with the Treasury Department.
I never thought in a million years that I would look up an Amazon number and it would be fake.
And she has been linked to money laundering and drugs. And she is going to need to give them her bank account numbers and her social security number.
They scared me to death. I was shaking, I was sweating. I was on the phone mic for over 3 hours with them.
Unfortunately, and my heart breaks, she gave her social security number, Lewis. And I've alerted the IRS on her behalf to protect her identity, and we shut down all of her bank accounts. This conversation went for 2 hours. I mean, they had her convinced that somehow her identity had been used for money laundering. But in the end, of course, it was a lie. She didn't lose any money. We've protected her social security number, and when she goes to taxes, we've given her a PIN number so the thieves can't try to access additional money from her, a refund and so forth. But they're very savvy, and that's what I want to say. We believe that these people are probably offshore, and they have people here in the United States that sometimes are being used as mules, so they have no idea. But the bottom line again, the end game is your money.
Never, never, never will a federal agent, I don't care what agency you're with, call you and tell you to move money into a Bitcoin account, another bank account. Nobody will do that. Nobody.
Well, Mike, let's talk about robocalls. So no one knowingly gives out their phone number to telemarketers, but these people get their number, and they use fake gift cards and job offers to trick people into signing consent forms.
This was a new one on me. We work with the FTC, of course, and with the Secret Service, but the FTC told us about this. This is actually called consent farms. This is wild. They'll put out stuff like a Walmart $1,000 gift card. You can win this. And everyone's like, yeah, I want a shot at that. And what do they get? It's unbelievable. When you look at it in retrospect, you go, oh, why did I do that? They get your name, they get your address, they get your phone number, and then at the bottom is this little thing you check, I accept. But in the fine print, it says, I accept telemarketing. I accept robocalls. And so you've set up. Is it legal? No. But now what happens is the thieves are selling that information with that thing that you checked that says, yes, I accept. And now the companies think, okay, everyone has signed off on this. They agree that we can call them.
Hi, this is Daniel from Amazon Customer Service.
Telemarketers, robocalls, whatever it may be, insurance, solar panels, whatever it may be. So they pay the con men money, and we all lose. We, the people of Florida and across the country, because this is happening nationwide. So I'm glad you're doing this one, because those consent forms do not say I accept. Look at the fine print. There's no such thing as a giveaway for a $1,000 gift card, because guess what? They didn't get one. Yeah. They didn't get one.
You talked about the woman who gave up her social security number, but social media has also been a very popular way for people to get your information.
Yeah, oh boy, this lady, I feel so bad for her. She gets a message from someone on Facebook, and I'll bet you this has happened to a lot of people that are watching. She gets a message and she thinks it's a friend, and she says, hey, I got locked out of my account. Can you hit this code so I can open up my Facebook account? Well, it's a con man. And guess what happens, Lewis? They get into her Facebook account. They target her 9 closest friends and put out this message that she needs $2,000. So they start emailing her and texting her and saying, we don't have the money, what happened? Her son even gets one.
Can I see some of the $1,000 for your hand? That's when I found out. Because I called her, I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you trying to ask for $1,000? Like,
her son is a financial analyst that we work with. He's razor sharp. He warns us. He goes on the air and warns his clients, don't fall for this stuff. His own mom got targeted. So, and then what happened is they go from money to she's selling puppies.
All my friends were saying, I want a puppy. I want one of the puppies. How much are you selling for? And I'm like, I'm not selling any puppies. What are you talking about?
So it goes from puppies to money, and of course the end game is the same. What is it? They want your name, they want your money. She lost $800, unfortunately, because she thought it was a close friend that needed money. You know, this stuff happens all the time. And again, what they're trying to do is target your bank accounts, your identity, and what did we say at the top? your one identity is worth $2 million to these guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, you interviewed someone else who lost a lot more money, $65,000, and this person was an employee at Full Sail. How did someone lose that much money?
His eyes, the tears, it just rips me up every time I think about this. He went to a college reunion, and I went to the Secret Service because he came to me, I was his last-ditch effort. His bank said, sorry, you did the transfer from your phone. So I'm thinking, all right, wait a minute, let's brainstorm. How in the world could that happen? He was at a reunion. He used the Wi-Fi that was there. Well, obviously, that's a perfect way to open the door to your phones, folks. Don't do that, Lewis, because what happened is they got in there, they got into his phone, they made the account, they got into his accounts, and we have the paper trail to show you here. You see the numbers, and it transfers from his phone to a bank account that he had nothing to do with, but the money was gone.
I literally called from my work phone to my personal phone and saw that it went to a random number and nobody answered the call.
Now, as luck would have it, we are close with the Secret Service. They were able to get in there and we got every dime back, $65,000. But the message here is, obviously, do not use a Wi-Fi in a restaurant or the airport or anything. Don't do that because you're vulnerable to thieves. And trust me, they're out there fishing like this, trying to get our money, get into our phones and rip us off.
Your phone is a computer. It has so many different ways to access. Open Wi-Fis are a no-brainer for the bad guy.
This one is scary. Yeah. So was he on his banking app or something while he was on the public Wi-Fi?
No, that's a great point. He was not. He was just using it. Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, Lewis, I think he was looking at his account. That's a great question. It just came back to me. We do so many of these. Yeah. But yeah, he was looking at his account, and that's probably how they accessed it. How they did it for sure, I work with the Secret Service on these things all the time. We're not 100% sure, but we believe they got into the phone, they transferred that money to an account that we've never heard of, and walked off with $65K. We got it back. We worked with the bank, and we were able to get it back.
So Mike, we all have our phones with us all the time. We all use iPads and laptops. What is the best advice for people?
Two things. We talked about the woman who thought her friend had contacted her through Facebook. Come up with a password. Your family needs to have a password, so if there is a message for help or a phone call for help, you've got the password. If they don't know the password, just hang up. Anyone that's been targeted by any of these schemes we're talking about, and there's going to be a ton more we haven't even thought of yet, Lewis, go to reportfraud.ftc.gov. Reportfraud.ftc.gov. Also, I want you to go to your local police and file a police report so we have it on record. And finally, go to your bank. Tell them what happened if an account has been infiltrated and make sure the fraud department looks at it because the banks are insured. You'll be able to get some of your money back. In the case of the young man that we had $65,000 back for him, believe me, we made his day, but he didn't know how to do it. Yeah. We do. So that's why we do these stories, to alert everyone. It could happen to you, me, everybody watching.
Great advice and great work as usual. Mike Holfeld, thank you so much. On Solutionaries, we've covered several ways internet criminals can put your safety at risk. You can watch Mike Holfeld's reporting on romance schemes and our stories about online predators right now on News 6 Plus. Just go to the app, select Solutionaries, and keep watching. While you're there, you'll see how food deserts and food swamps impact communities across our country.
Sometimes people use a term called a food swamp. That's a geographical area that maybe the density of fast food or fried foods is high. And oftentimes a food swamp can be located in a food desert, which just means that that community has a higher probability of high rates of heart disease, high rates of diabetes, high rates of chronic tension.
How people are coming together to create the change they want to see.
The knowledge of how to turn those fresh produce items into a delicious meal is what the food bank does all the time.
And reverse food trends that are impacting people's health.
So what happens is when individuals go and meet with their doctor will say, okay, eat better. But oftentimes as physicians, we're not trained on how you need to eat better for your particular condition. So this way, we don't have to have all that nutrition expertise. We actually can refer you to a community educator that we link the person with.
Again, it's all available right now for free on the News 6 Plus app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, just head to clickorlando.com where we have step-by-step directions to get started.